I'm Bloke here from Brick Dust Barbells, and in this YouTube video I'm going to be speaking with you about my Garmin data, my Connect data, such as my sleep, how I'm tracking my sleep, my recovery, my HRV, my beats per minute, all that sort of stuff, and why it's important. Now, in my podcast show, I think it's episode 4, I spoke about wearables such as Garmin's, Apple Watches, Whoop bands, even the Aura Ring, which is really beneficial if you have tattoos. And the reason I am speaking with you about that now is because I want to show you my Garmin dashboard as an example of how tracking this stuff can help you navigate through the day, depending on what it is that you're doing on the tools. So if you're a plasterer, for argument's sake, if you're a plumber, carpenter, electrician and so on, this data is going to help you to navigate through the day and ultimately the food that you eat, etc. So with that said, this is my Garmin data. This is what it records on a daily basis. Now, I don't take this off. This is a Garmin watch. This is a Phoenix. And primarily because it tracks all of the information that you can see on the screen. Now, the analogy that I give with this watch is it's the dashboard and my body is the engine. And I want you to think about your car just for a second. Think about your car and the dashboard. You have things like the fuel gauge, speedometer, rev counter. If there's something wrong with the engine warning light comes on, etc. And this watch is exactly the same for your body, for my body. This is the dashboard. I can tell when the engine warning light comes on, if there's something wrong with my body. And I know when to sort of take my foot off the gas and slow down and pull into a lay-by and refuel, etc. That is how important this stuff is. And I don't care who you are, if you're not tracking what is going on inside your body, you can't improve, you can't stay healthy, and you can't feel good. And there's an old saying that I say, that I made up, which I quite like: if you don't feel well, you can't do well. So with that said, let's have a little look at my stats and my numbers. So with that said, sleep score. So one of the biggest things since I stopped drinking as well is that when I sleep better, and when you're sleeping better, what you can actually do is your recovery is much more better. You kind of recover like when you're in your 20s, and I'm 43, and I'm kind of feeling the best that I've ever felt. And I don't want to sort of bore you with the granular detail of this, but this gives me a nice snapshot of my sleep data, how I'm sleeping. And you can see here, like, my scores generally are sort of between 80 and 90, which is fairly good. And one of the things that has been the catalyst for this, or for me at least, is the fact that I'm not drinking alcohol. So sleep is really important, obviously. A couple of the other ones which I think are really important, and I did speak about this on my podcast, and bear with me if you haven't heard of all of this sort of stuff before, but I'm going to be speaking with you about it now. So one of the most important metrics, I think, for tradesmen, particularly plasterers or whoever who's trying to get fit, is HRV, which is heart rate variability. And what this basically does is it gives you a snapshot of your nervous system, also known as the autonomic nervous system, the ANS. And there's two parts to your nervous system. There's the parasympathetic, which is nice and calm, and then there's the sympathetic, which is where it's fight or flight. You'll be accessing this part of your nervous system when you're on the tools, when you're training, when you're having an argument with the missus, etc. And because you can track what's going on with your HRV status, you can tell kind of if your nervous system is cooked or not. And as an example for me, when I know that I've been grafting, I've been working 5 days, I've been doing 2 hits a day, doing meterage, whether it's rendering or plastering, I come back to this and I'll look at my HRV, and if the numbers are off, the lower the HRV, the worse my nervous system is, I will make a a mental note that I have to access the parasympathetic part of my nervous system, aka I need to chill out, I need to relax, I need to go for a walk, I need to take some time out for myself because my nervous system is getting cooked, which leads to me being irritable, talking with friends and family in, let's say, not such a good manner. I get a short fuse, etc. So HRV is probably, out of all of these, the most important one, I would say. The other one as well is the beats per minute. So again, beats per minute. And again, if you're rolling your eyes, if this is all new to you, I want you to sort of go away and research this. And anyway, let's just go back a step. Let's talk about the ANS. So ANS, autonomic nervous system. I just want to give you some tools to sort of go away with, because this is so important, I think, for your health. If you're genuinely serious about becoming fit, getting more energy, getting out of your head, sort of that, you know, if you're feeling tired all the time, then this is kind of the key to, or one of the steps that you need to feel better. So I'm not going to go too granular in this video because this video will be about 3 hours long and I don't want to bore you. All I want you to think about, particularly with the HRV, heart rate variability, is to think of it like your nervous system. You know, it's connected to your nervous system and you need to be taking care of that because that affects how you feel. So I'm going to give you a little bit of homework there. ANS, have a look at that. See what you think. So going on from there, what is going to be important for you moving forward? So HRV, track that, your heart rate variability, also your heartbeat. So your resting heart rate will give you a good snapshot of how healthy your heartbeat is. Mine is kind of like last night, I think it was like 39 beats per minute. If I was to look at my 7-day average, you can kind of see it's pretty consistent. I'm kind of in between sort of 43, 39. And again, I'll let you do your research into how good that is, but I've got a good cardiovascular system. And understanding these numbers, probably if this is the first time that you've seen this sort of stuff or someone talk about it, you're probably going to be thinking, what is this bloke going on about? But I cannot stress enough how important these numbers are. So as an example as well, because I do a lot of training as well, I'm kind of in this balance between my parasympathetic and my sympathetic nervous system. So in the morning, for argument's sake, pretty much 6 days a week I'm training, whether that's running, weights, or doing circuits at home. And what that does, it affects my body battery. And this is really important because when you think of your phone, when you look at your mobile device, and in the top right hand corner you'll have the battery. So on this, for argument's sake, it's at like 56% my battery at the moment. It's at 56%. What this watch enables me to do is to see what my body battery is. It's literally the same thing. So if my body battery is, say, 10%, I'm not going to go for a run, like a 12-mile run, as an example, because I've got 10% battery. It's just not going to happen. It's the same with your phone, right? If you've got a journey that's 5 hours and you need to use this for Google Maps and you're using the sat-nav in here and you've got a journey that's 5 hours long, you're not going to leave with 5% battery, are you? And rely on this for the sat-nav. It's the same with this. This is what the body battery does in the Garmin Connect. Whoop Band does this sort of thing as well. Apple, I don't think they have these kind of metrics as accurate as this. Personally, the Apple Watch is a complete waste of time, in my opinion. But what you can do as well is, with the body battery, you can kind of see, if I go back a day, you can see, like yesterday, for argument's sake, my treadmill training, I was actually in the gym, so I was doing splits, I was doing some weights as well, and you can see here how much it drained from my battery. If we go back the day before that, Castle Point walk-in, I've done a walk, So running, so this drained my battery quite a bit, 13, minus 13 points. So I run, what was this? So this run was about 36 minutes. This was, if I remember, this was just a recovery run. But you can see here as well, like I'm doing, so average 133 beats per minute. So this was a recovery run for me. And again, the reason I'm showing you this, and I don't want to go too granular with this, but what I'm doing is, what I would have done at this point with this particular run, and I made this run at what time? So it was at 5:54 in the morning before I went to work. So I would have looked at my body battery and all of the stats, the HRV and so on, and I would have decided what type of run I was going to do and what type of day I had on the tools. Was I doing prep work? Was I plastering a whole room? Was I doing serious meterage? I was looking at these numbers, and then what I'd done is decide what zone I want to be in for running. So, and when I say zones, I don't want to bore you with that right now, but basically zone 2 is kind of like below 130 average, and I was at 133. And what all of this stuff does, what it enables you to do, is to prevent yourself from burning out and cooking your nervous system. So with that said, this is the first video I'm posting to YouTube. I spoke about this on my podcast about wearables. I can't emphasize how important they are. I don't want to sound too preachy, but it's changed my life, a wearable, and I think it will help you as well. Changed my life specifically, and it's given me more energy, more clarity, and I know what's going on inside my body, which is enabling me to make better decisions about work, about training, about tomorrow. Anyway, with that said, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Hit the like button. Let me know if this is of any interest. Comment below. Even if you don't like it, I want to hear from you. What could I change? What do you want me to talk about? Also, head over to my podcast. Listen to it. Follow it. Go to Brick Dust and Barbells, or Brick Dust Barbells, brickdustbarbells.com. I'm going to put all the info in the description of this video. And apart from that, I'll see you in the next one.